him, wagging his little nub and whimpering softly with anticipation. A few dribbles of drool dropped from his chin. I laughed. "We're almost there, Hux," I said. I cut some dark turkey meat into chunks, added it to his bowl, and poured some gravy over it. Within moments of placing it on the floor, he started devouring his Thanksgiving feast. I patted his soft head and then went back out to the dining room. I finally took a seat at my chair. My feet were throbbing and just about every muscle in my body ached from preparing the meal. "John's mother over there is right, you know," Daniel said under his breath. He reached for the bowl of maple-glazed yams, serving himself up a second helping. "All this food is going to kill me," he said. "I just can't seem to stop myself. It's too delicious." I smiled. "Just try to hold out until the wedding at least," I said. "I'm not going to like it if you leave me stranded at the altar." "I'll see what I can do," he said, stuffing a large piece of yam in his mouth, "but I'm not making any promises." I glanced around the table, making sure that everyone had everything they needed. "Cinnamon, honey, this is delicious," Aunt Marie said, taking a sip of Warren's beer. "Hot damn. I'm sure glad to be here this year." I was too. Even though Marie wasn't a real aunt, it felt like she was. She had been like a sister to my mother, and she always had a kind of magical quality to her that made a big impression on me when I was a kid. Marie had left Christmas River when she was just 17, taking off with Victor Blackwell, the young Blackwell jeweler's heir who used to vacation here with his family in the summers. They moved to L.A., where she got married and then pursued a singing career. It never really took off for her, but she sure had plenty of good stories to tell from her days brushing shoulders with 80s hair bands. Victor had died a couple of years earlier from stomach cancer, and Marie was now a widow. She'd had a rough time of it, not only with Victor's death, but also with her finances. From what I gathered, Blackwell Jewelers was on the verge of going bankrupt, and Marie had been struggling to keep the business afloat. But she carried those burdens with a kind of elegance and style that was typical of her. She never acted sorry for herself, and almost always kept a smile on her face through all of it. "How long are you in town for, Marie?" Kara asked, just as most of the guests were finishing up their second helpings. "Until after the wedding," she said, winking at me from across the table. "So Christmas River better get used to the sight of old Marie. She's back in town." "I'm glad to hear it," Kara said. "It was getting dull around here." "Warren, this pumpkin ale is better than any beer they're making in California," Marie said, turning toward my grandfather. "Honest to God, it tastes just like pumpkin pie." Warren looked down and started stroking his white beard, his telltale bashful expression. The pumpkin ale recipe was his baby. He'd made 3 test batches over the last few months, perfecting it just for this meal. "I'd venture it's better than anything the breweries in Oregon are making either," Daniel said. A satisfied expression spread across the old man's face. "Well, thank you all kindly," he said, "but the beer's just a small part of this meal. The real credit goes to Sin." Now it was my turn to be bashful. It's nothing," I said, the understatement of the year if my feet had any say in it. "Pish-posh," Warren said, holding up his beer mug. "It's true, Sin," Kara said. "You knocked it out the park this year." Grunts of agreement came from full mouths up and down the table. I smiled. "I'm just thankful all of you are here to share it with," I said. I didn't know if it was the beer or maybe the exhaustion, but I suddenly felt lightheaded and drunk, with a kind of mad happiness that seemed to rise up from the very core of my being. Earlier in the day, I'd been thinking a lot about my mother. The holidays can't help but make you think of the loved ones you've lost, the chairs at the table that remain empty, but sitting there, surrounded by so many loving, supportive people, I could almost feel her there too. She would have been proud of the life I'd built, of the great people that I had in it. I glanced over at Daniel. His face was fixed in an expression of pure joy as he finished the last bit of turkey on his plate. I reached for his hand underneath the table and gave it a hard squeeze.